A much-loved monarch acknowledged the many thousands who'd waited to see her until finally it was time to go. There was an unspoken feeling that an era was drawing to a close. For decade after decade, Elizabeth II was the constant and reassuring presence at the centre of national life, respected as a constitutional monarch, admired within Britain, the Commonwealth and beyond. It was a life sustained by faith and driven by duty, and by the pledge she'd made on her 21st birthday.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong. God help me to make good my vow, and God bless all of you who are willing to share in it.
Welcome to viewers in the UK, across the world and on PBS in America. I'm Christian Fraser with special coverage following the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in the history of the United Kingdom. The Queen died at the age of 96 at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. She was a commanding presence in British public life over a span of 8 decades. Now, her eldest son, Charles, at the age of 73, has become King Charles III. It was at 6:30 on Thursday evening that Buckingham Palace released this formal statement. The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Following the death of his mother, His Majesty King Charles III released this statement. The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world. During this period of mourning and change, my family and I will be comforted and sustained by our knowledge of the respect and deep affection in which the Queen was so widely held. The Queen had symbolised all that was constant and reassuring, and for the vast majority of people in Britain and the Commonwealth, the treasured and highly visible link with Britain's past has now gone. Our royal correspondent Daniela Ralph looks back on a momentous day.
Tuesday, the 6th of September. The last photographs of the Queen, 96 years old and still at work. Meeting the new Prime Minister at Balmoral, a duty she had been keen to fulfil, and one we now know was her final duty after 7 decades of public service. Around 4 o'clock this afternoon, a number of the Queen's family arrived at Aberdeen Airport. Her grandson, the Duke of Cambridge, was first to emerge, followed by her daughter-in-law, Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, and then her 2 youngest sons, Edward, the Earl of Wessex, and Andrew, the Duke of York. The Duke of Cambridge drove the family group to Balmoral to join his father and other members of the family already there with the Queen. Harry, the Duke of Sussex, arrived separately later in the evening. Here in the UK for a number of charity events, his wife Meghan did not accompany him to Scotland. At 6:30, Buckingham Palace officially announced the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Following tradition, the statement was attached to the palace gates by 2 footmen as tributes began.
Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Our country has grown and flourished under her reign. She was the very spirit of Great Britain, and that spirit will endure. She has been our longest ever reigning monarch. It's an extraordinary achievement to have presided with such dignity and grace for 70 years. And with the passing of the second Elizabethan age, we usher in a new era in the magnificent history of our great country, exactly as Her Majesty would have wished, by saying the words, "God save the King."
And also from the Leader of the Opposition.
For the vast majority of us, the late Queen has been simply the Queen, the only Queen. Above all else, our Queen. As we mourn her loss, we should also treasure her life, our longest serving and greatest ever monarch. Above the clashes of politics, she stood not for what the nation fought over, but what it agreed upon.
Throughout the day, there had been growing unease about the Queen's health. In the Commons, as Keir Starmer stood up to speak, opposite him, the Prime Minister was being told of the Queen's condition. Information passed to Angela Rayner, Labour's deputy leader, who left her seat for a while to discuss the development, before the Speaker of the House addressed the chamber.
I know I speak on behalf of the entire House when I say that we send our best wishes to Her Majesty the Queen, and that she and the royal family are in our thoughts and prayers at this moment.
Cheered by onlookers, one of the Queen's last royal engagements was in July, with her daughter, Princess Anne, opening a new state-of-the-art hospice in Berkshire. But these kind of visits had become rare over the past year, as the Queen relied on her walking stick, her mobility compromised. The royal household had tried to adapt to keep her active and visible. A golf buggy at the Chelsea Flower Show helped keep the Queen comfortable. But she had become noticeably thinner and frailer, something that severely limited her involvement in her own Platinum Jubilee celebrations, with her family increasingly representing her. At the weekend, her son stood in at the Braemar Highland Games, always a favourite event for the Queen that she reluctantly missed. Like so much of her life, the decline in her health was played out in public. Duty may have got harder to manage physically, but mentally, even emotionally, the Queen remained engaged and working to the very end.